Welcome into the Jazz Notes podcast. I'm Ben Anderson.
I'm Chandler Holt.
As always, you can find us on Twitter and Blue Sky at C Holt Sports, me at Ben's Hoops. Read us at KSLSports.com. We are recording this on October 27th. We are 1 week into the NBA season. The Jazz are 1-1. You were right in our predictions last week. You said you thought they would split those games. I don't think those are the games we thought they would split.
Yeah.
I think most of us probably thought they would go on the road and win at Sacramento. I thought they were going to lose both. And Sacramento was the loss. It was a close loss, but they did absolutely hammer the Clippers in the opening game of the season.
Crazy stuff from that game. We can hop right into that, the recaps, and also I have some advanced stats that are kind of crazy I want to talk to you about.
We will get to your mailbag at the end of the show.
Yes.
I always send out that prompt on Monday. You can respond. We got a bunch of questions today on Blue Sky and on Twitter. You can also DM me throughout the week. I apologize. I missed a couple last week that we will also answer here. So, John, we will get to your questions.
Yes.
Anyways.
Win over the Clippers, 129-108. Kessler was awesome, 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Markkanen also had 20, added 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Bryce, third Jazz player with 20 points. And then Keyonte, who I'm sure we'll talk a lot about today, 16 points and 9 assists for him. Jazz shot 55% from the field, 38.6% from three. I think it was wasn't it 78% and 50% in the first half?
Well, they were 16 of 20 from the floor in the first quarter with 6 steals.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically as good as you can play.
Yeah.
The Clippers absolutely just shut down. They got overwhelmed. Lowry ran the floor on 3 straight possessions to open the game, including a 3 and an alley-oop dunk. And basically, Kawhi was like, oh, not chasing him around. I don't have any interest in doing that. And the rest of the team followed, and they gave up, and the Jazz steamrolled them, and then it was a bit of a different story against Sacramento. But do you want to talk about kind of the good things we've seen early on?
Yeah.
The bad things we've seen early on? I guess the good things are the defenses looks a lot better.
Yeah.
They're really trying. They've held the first 2 opponents below 110 points. That only happened in back-to-back games once last year. All season, the Jazz have done it in their first 2 games. So we'll see if they're able to continue to lace that together. That's a really low number.
Yes.
Teams score over 110 points a night. Keeping them below that is really good, and a lot of that's come from the effort there. And I think spearheaded by the hustle specifically of Keyonte George, who has been made a total 180 defensively. He actually looks like a good player there, which I think is really promising.
For Keyonte, we had talked about, I feel like the 2 things that we sort of hammer were if he can do this, then he will stick around and he could be a starting point guard in the NBA. Defense and efficiency. Efficiency isn't quite there yet through 2 games, but like you said, he's been in passing lanes. He's actually been the defensive activity on the ball,
He's
off
rotating.
the ball, rotating.
Yeah.
All in all, the defense for the Jazz has been genuinely shocking. We thought, okay, yeah, this Jazz team's going to be fast. The offense is going to be fun. Might even be a good offense or average, whatever you want to say. But the defense is just not going to be there. Through 2 games, it has been there.
Yeah, that is not what we've seen. It's almost been the opposite of that, which is funny. With the exception of Lowry Markkanen offensively, who has been terrific. This is another. Again, we're 2 games in. We're not trying to pretend this is what we're expected to see, but versus what kind of we thought we might. One of the big storylines was how's Lowry going to look coming out of Eurobasket. He was dealing with a wrist injury, but he looked like an all-star coming out of the last Eurobasket and did make the all-star team. This year through 2 games, 26.5 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Great number for him there. And he's shooting the lights out of the ball, or shooting the lights out, not of the ball. There's no lights in the ball. Not in this league. 55% from the floor, 40% from 3, and even better thing, 10 threes a game.
Yeah.
He's really getting them up. That's a hard thing to do, so that's awesome. So Lowry is playing at a truly superb level right now. And I think the other big bright spot has been Bryce. Bryce is the Jazz's second leading scorer right now at 17.5 points per game. I don't know if we flirted with that idea that there's a chance he could be the Jazz's second leading scorer. I don't remember if we had talked about that on the podcast, but I know that's kind of been in the zeitgeist a little bit. He looks like it. I told you I thought Bryce's 3-point shooting might be the best individual skill among all the young players, and you might be able to remove young players. It might just be the best skill on the team. 7 threes a game. He's shooting 43% from 3, and I even think he's missed some easy ones. Yeah. So he's been absolutely deadly. He is going to carve out a really long career for himself in the NBA. He's going to make a lot of money. In fact, I was thinking this is way too early of a projection, but between Keyonte George, Taylor Hendricks, and Bryce Sensabaugh, all of them are going to be extension eligible this summer. I'm going to make a really hot take early that Bryce is the only one that signs an extension this summer.
Okay.
I could see it with Taylor because of the injury, and he's just let me get paid. Let me extend my career. I'll take a discount, but I just want to I want to make some money. It's kind of what Derek Favors did. I could see, though, the Jazz being like, Bryce, you're a kind of a specialist shooter, but you're valuable. We want to have you. And you did see a couple of those guys get locked up this summer. It's like AJ Green got locked up, and Sam Merrill, I think, got a contract. Like, there's enough comps there that I think you just go to Bryce and you're like, hey man, 4 years, $45 million, or 3 years, $40 million, sign it. And I think they get that deal done. That would be a good price for Bryce. But I'm just saying, like, early on, I think this is a core guy. Bryce is looking like a core piece to me early on through 2 games.
So 2 things I want to hit on real quick.
Okay.
First, in the first game, the Jazz had 38 assists, which is more than any game last season, which is awesome. Ball was flying around. And they had fewer turnovers than the Clippers. I think they had 12 for the game. Yes, they had 12 for the game. In the second game against the Kings, compared to 38 assists, 12 turnovers, they had 25 assists and 19 turnovers. So that was probably the key difference. And still, even with that number and much worse shooting percentages, they lost by 1 point.
They did. We talked about the good things.
Yes.
Keyonte's defense, Lauri Markkanen being a great offensive player, Bryce being really good. I think that there are a lot of negatives still.
Yes.
And in fact, everything that looked good against the Clippers almost disappeared against the Kings.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting the Kings are a really bad basketball team.
Yes.
Like, that's not going to be a good team this year. They've got some vets who know how to win games, and the Jazz had a chance to win that game. A lot of the execution in the fourth quarter was terrible. The offense is not good at all at basically any point in that game other than Lowry going off for 30 plus and kind of carrying them. But I wrote about it in my story. Lowry hits a 3 with 5.5 minutes left. Jazz are up by 4, I think, at that point. He doesn't get another shot off until there's 2 minutes left in the game, meaning that's what, like 5 possessions, 6 possessions? In that stretch, they go 1 of 5. Keyonte hoists 2 horrible shots, turns the ball over on a pick and roll. It's like the decision-making's bad. Keyonte was 5 of 15 again. And this is the hard part. And Keontae's in his 3rd year now, so it's totally fair to like kind of take the kid gloves off with how we talk about him and how we discuss him. Like, he's been there for a long time. He's got to make the change on the court now. And he doesn't have to do it in 2 games. But if he continues to have some of these issues, and the issue is if Keyonte can't shoot, he's not a starter, certainly, and he may not be an NBA player.
Yeah.
But Keyonte George now, through the first 2 games of the season, he's 40% from the floor. He's 15% from 3. Now, we know he's better than a 15% three-point shooter, but like, you can't be 42% from the floor and 33 or 34% from 3 and be expected to be a core piece. You're not. You're just too replaceable. You can be a great guy. You can grow. You can mature off the floor. And I think he's shown those things. The 9.5 assists are really cool. It's a great number. If you can't shoot, you can't be on the court late.
Yeah.
It's just that simple, especially as a guard. You just can't. And kicking down the door will be Walt Clayton right behind him, who Walt Clayton has not shot the 3 yet. He's still 33%. He's shooting great from the floor, 53% overall, and he's averaging 10 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Okay, it's just going to be his job if Keyonte does not start shooting dramatically better pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's that simple.
The thing with Keyonte, and like we said, maturity, defense, all that is much improved. In the first game, he shot 6 for 12, 1 for 7 from 3, so all of his misses were from 3. I think the one thing with him is he still has the let me get a shot up mentality.
He does get there.
Yeah.
He still gets there too often.
Yes.
Not as much as he used to.
Yeah.
But you do still see it poke its head through.
And the thing is it's frustrating watching these games knowing like when you do your stuff within the offense and when you don't just hoist a 3 because you haven't in a while, he's awesome. Like, I believe he's shooting 64% inside the arc so far this year.
Yeah. And maybe he just needs to change his mindset. That is like, again, this is a comp I threw out there, and I don't know why this was the name that came to mind for Keyonte of like what the ideal role would be, but it's like, can you turn yourself into, now I'm drawing a blank, McConnell at Indiana, which he's an absolute nightmare defensive player.
Yes.
And I mean in a good way. Like, he is one of the best point guard defenders in the NBA, guard defenders in the NBA. He doesn't shoot 3s at all. He can't shoot 3s. He doesn't shoot 3s. I think randomly he had like a good shooting year last year, but it's like Chris Dunn who doesn't shoot them, but is really good inside the arc. Like, he's really dangerous as a scorer inside the arc. Maybe that's the role for Keyonte George going forward. And TJ McConnell's not a starter, but he's a really good NBA player. He's super valuable. He's great defensively and good enough offensively to justify being on the court. Maybe that's the role that Keyonte has to assume if he can't make 3s at a high enough rate.
And what I will say is I think Keyonte is more talented offensively than TJ McConnell is.
Of course, yeah.
So it's like maybe all it takes is that sort of mindset shift and sort of deleting that part of your brain that's like, oh, I should shoot. I haven't shot in a while, you know?
Yep. And I don't mean that as a pure comp. I'm just saying, like, the concept of like, there are a lot of ways to stick in the NBA. It doesn't have to be what you thought you were coming out of Baylor.
Yes.
Or what everyone thought you were when you were the number 5 overall recruit in the country, which is like Devin Booker or, any of these high-scoring 2 guards. I don't think that necessarily has to be your role. Maybe you have to adjust and figure out how to stick around. But again, one of the other positives we didn't talk about is that Walt Clayton's been superb early on. And let's talk about a negative. Ace Bailey's not been good through the first 2 games.
Yes.
He's really struggled. He is not hitting his shots. He is coming off of an illness that wasn't just like, he's sick. I don't think he was on the court for 6 days.
Yeah.
I thought he was away from the team for that long. That's a big gap leading up to the season where clearly he was in a great rhythm in those first 2 games against Houston and San Antonio. I think what signals to me that it is the sickness is that all the other stuff that Ace was doing really well is not showing up either. The rebounding is totally gone. The hustle plays are totally gone. Remember, he was going and saving loose balls and finding his teammates and running the court and getting to his spots. You haven't seen that at all. It makes me think that whatever he had for 6 days, and he told me it was not the flu, but whatever he had for 6 days, and we can speculate, but we don't need to, just sapped him of his energy.
Oh, yeah.
I just do not think he's had any gas in these first 2 games, and as a result, he's averaging 1 point a game and he's shooting 10%.
Yeah.
He's 1 of 10 now for the season. So, and it was a dunk. It's like he hasn't made a jump shot at all.
Yeah.
Once it goes in, I suspect he's probably the guy who sees one go in.
Yes.
And he doesn't stop making shots.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like thinking about it, take the Jazz fan out of you, just looking at it from a human perspective, he didn't get any game prep. He didn't have any of that, the mental stuff for 6 days. And then also he's coming back from being sick.
And he's playing a different role.
Yes.
He was starting in the preseason playing with better players. Now he's coming off the bench with just in a totally different environment. In fact, he was playing shooting guard to start the season. Now he's playing small forward.
Yeah.
I think that's another piece of it as well.
So in a second, we're going to talk about some Jazz stats. I'm going to give you highs and lowers and stuff. And I didn't even mention Ace because I have no worry for him. So.
Yeah, of course. It's not even worth speculating about. I guess a couple other things we've learned quickly. Cody Williams not in the rotation.
Yes.
I think he will get an opportunity at some point.
Yes.
Injuries will push that in that direction, or the Jazz will be at a spot record-wise where I think it allows him to step in and play. But, yeah, he is out of the rotation to start. And we'll have to figure out what the guard rotation looks like. Who loses that job because Isaiah Collier is not healthy right now. And George Niang hasn't played either. Now George Niang is also hurt. He's hurt again tonight, as is Isaiah, so they're not going to be playing against the Suns. But when they come back, what does the rotation look like? How does it change?
Really quickly, I have some advanced stats from the first 2 games. Mind you, it's kind of like college football. It's 2 games, body of work, but that's all we have.
Okay.
And these mean nothing.
I'll just get the first one out of the way.
Okay.
Walker Kessler is not going to shoot 100% from the field this season. He is through 2 games. Yeah. He's not missed a shot, but that's not going to last all year. Anyways, next.
Utah has the best efficiency differential in the NBA, which is points scored minus points allowed per 100 possessions.
Okay.
Under that stat, they're expected to win 71.1 games this year.
Not bad. It's going to be a good year. That Kings blemish early in the season was really fluky.
Okay, and this one I have a question for you. There are 3 players on the Jazz roster whose offense and defense is better when they're on the floor.
Okay.
What 3 players do you think it is?
Walt?
No.
Lowry?
Yep.
Walker?
Yep.
Keyonte?
Keyonte George.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. That's like I feel like Keontae's always been a net negative defense his entire career.
Yeah.
So
now,
seeing net, what
do we know about those 3 guys? They start.
Yeah.
They're on the floor together.
Yes.
So one of those guys is helping,
True.
and I suspect his name is Lowry Markkanen. I suspect that's what's going on.
Yes.
Walker had a really good first game, as we talked about. 22 points and hit the 2 threes in the first quarter, and I thought was every bit as good, if not better, than Zubac. And then 100% disappeared, literally disappeared against the Kings.
Yes.
You would not know he was on the floor other than he committed 6 turnovers, which how does a center who doesn't touch the ball commit 6 turnovers? But Walker did that.
Okay, let's zoom through this next week preview and also on KSL Sports on X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. We're going to post more in-depth previews of these games on game day throughout the week.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn more about the teams, what's going on, look for those. First, tonight, host the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is currently 1-2. And then host Portland on Wednesday. Portland's also 1-2 as of now. In Phoenix on Friday, Phoenix will play the Grizzlies in between the 2 Utah games. And then in Charlotte on Sunday.
This is a cup game on Friday against the Phoenix Suns. And then, the Colin Sexton revenge game on November 2nd in Charlotte.
Yep.
So, fun week, interesting week. No Jalen Green tonight. Dylan Brooks questionable for the Phoenix Suns, who are not good. They're 1-2 on the season.
Yeah.
Home against Portland, they seem to get some real juice off of Chauncey getting fired, rightfully so. I've never been a believer in Chauncey Billups. I couldn't believe he got that job and then got the extension. But they like Tiago Splitter. It seems like as an assistant coach, I wouldn't be surprised if he just gets named the full-time head coach sooner rather than later. Suns again at Charlotte. I'm thinking 1-3.
1-3?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with you on 1-3. I don't know which one of the 4 they win.
Charlotte's playing okay.
Yeah.
Charlotte's playing pretty well, and they're a part of it. One of the other things I wanted to touch on here, and we can in a minute, is how well this rookie class is playing.
Yes.
Overall. But Phoenix is so-so. They still have better players than the Jazz.
Yes.
Ultimately, that's the difference. Is like, as we saw against the Kings, who are not good, at some point, having Zach LaVine and having DeMar DeRozan and having Domantas Sabonis, like those are big pluses. Those guys have played a lot of basketball in their life.
Yep.
They know how to win those games or close those games, and the Jazz don't. I think Portland's just pretty good, but not great, but like playing tournament quality.
Yeah.
If everything goes right for them. And then you're at Phoenix again. I don't think you're going to sweep Phoenix, so I don't think there's 2 wins there. And then at Charlotte again, Charlotte is playing well and it's on the road.
Yes.
So I think that's probably a 1-3 week, but 2-2 is certainly possible.
Yeah.
Not the toughest teams. Speaking of the rookie class, though, quickly I want to touch on this because we've talked about Ace Bailey and we talked about Walt Clayton a little bit. This has a chance to be a really special rookie class, and we kind of talked about this draft being really good, and sometimes we said that, and then things don't come to fruition. Early on, this rookie class has been absurd.
Yes.
Like very, very good. Has a chance to be one of the ones that we talk about 3 or 4 years from now, especially if Ace starts playing the way he did in the preseason, which I suspect will come at some point. VJ Edgecombe, again, we're a weekend, but we didn't see these stats at all from last year's class at any point.
True.
And never did you have a week that was as good as the first week for these rookies. VJ Edgecombe with Philly, the 3rd overall pick, 24.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Cedric Coward, who was the 11th pick, I think the Memphis Grizzlies traded up. Maybe it wasn't quite 11, but whatever it was where he got picked. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Trey Johnson at Washington, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Also, of course, he's shooting the lights out of the ball. 47, no lights in the ball. I don't know why I keep saying shooting the lights out. 47% from the floor, 43% from 3. That was not surprising. Cooper Flagg has only been so-so, and he's averaging 16 and 6. Dylan Harper's been absolutely fabulous. He's not shooting the 3 well. We knew he didn't. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Con Knippel, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Jeremiah Fears, some familiar names, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Can't shoot threes. We knew that, but he is scoring well. And then Walt Clayton, the other rookie that's already averaging 10 points a game, 10, 5, and 4. And shooting 53% from the floor, and just looks in total control when he's on the court. He looks really good. Then Ryan Kalkbrenner, who I told you I would have taken 61st overall in the draft, is starting for the Hornets. We'll see him this weekend. 9.5 points, 7.5 rebounds. He's playing well. Derek Queen's playing well. Yegor Demin has played pretty well. And again, we just still haven't even seen a guy like Ace Bailey get a real shot.
Yeah.
Yet, so he's been coming off the bench, and this is gonna be a good class. This is a fun class. Gonna be fun to follow them. We talked a lot about them leading up to this draft class, so gonna be interesting to watch these names because they're gonna be around a long time, I think.
Yeah, and even from just like some of the guys that maybe you didn't mention that I still personally have some like hope for, like Young Hansen. Like Thomas Sorber's in a tough situation because he's on a team who could win.
And he broke his foot. He's out this year.
Yeah, and he was awesome. We talked really good about him during our previews. Even Carter Bryant, like he hasn't been fabulous for the Spurs so far, but I think he fits really well in that system. And then also just real quick, I want to say that Concanupo, like we talked about how drafting for fit in the NBA could be scary, but I feel like that just might be the perfect situation for him.
That's a really good spot for him. Yeah, they needed a grown-up in that room, and he showed up and has played well early. And, Nick Clifford, I don't think played against the Jazz. He started the game before that and looked fine. So we're going to see... a lot. We're going to see a lot of these rookies. I'm excited to see it. And we'll see if Ace gets going this weekend, or this week, I should say. I think with the 4 games, if he starts to get better and healthier and probably get some food back in his system, I would imagine he starts playing better. All right. Take a break, or we have more?
Let's take a break and we can get to this on the other half.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get to that, and then we will answer your mailbag questions. Stick around. More Jazz Notes coming up next. Welcome back to the Jazz Notes podcast. Ben Anderson, Chandler Holt. As always, again, follow us on Twitter at Holt Sports and Ben's Hoops. Same at Blue Sky. And that's where we'll answer your mailbag questions. But we want to get to something quickly before mailbag.
Quick segment I thought of. It's called Keep It Up or Pick It Up. Terrible name.
Okay, I like it.
I give you Jazz stats, and then you tell me if they'll keep it up, pick it up, get better, or maybe you can even say if you don't expect to be that good going forward.
Okay.
First, Larry Markkinen, 26.5 points per game is what he's at right now.
It will drop, but I don't think it's going to drop to 19.
Yeah.
Like, it will be closer to 26 than 20.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities.
Walker Kessler, 4.5 stocks a game is what he's at right now.
Probably not terribly far off.
Yeah.
He should be 2 or 3 blocks a game, and that means he only needs to get 1.5 steals. And some of those big guys, as their hands improve as they get older, it's high.
Yeah.
So probably a little bit, but probably not too far. Probably not a major drop.
We're just going to talk about, I didn't even know what to put for Keyonte, so I'm just going to put all of what Keyonte's doing right now. 17 points, 9.5 assists. Like I said, 64% on twos. There were some things we point out that need to improve, but just how Keyonte's been so far.
I think the 9.5 assists are going to drop. I think the 17 points per game is probably pretty accurate. I just think there's a lot of shots. One of the things we didn't talk about, but I think we should to note is like one of the reasons the Jazz have gotten better defensively is because they got rid of Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton and John Collins. And not that John is like totally, dead meat or Colin is either. Jordan's really not a great defensive player. But those guys were, at this point, not all that interested in playing defense on a bad team, and I get it.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, the Jazz are not going to be a very good offensive team because those 3 guys were 3 of the top 5 scorers on the team last year. John was tied for 1. Colin was at 17 points a game, and Jordan was at like 15 or 16. You lose those guys who know how to score, and all of a sudden in the fourth quarter against the Kings, it's really hard to generate offense, and Lowry can't create his own shot. Those things become issues.
Yes.
So I do think the Jazz are going to have a hard time scoring, but somebody does have to score, so a Keyonte George or a Bryce Sensabaugh might be able to stay up at that 17-point per game average.
Speaking of Bryce Sensabaugh, will he remain the Jazz's second leading scorer this year?
I think eventually Ace is probably going to overtake him.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just too lofty. Maybe Ace is just going to have a slow season. Maybe he is further away. But again, it's 2 games that I think they're based on something kind of goofy, and I think he's going to be put back into the starting lineup and get a real opportunity to play, obviously.
Yeah.
So my gut says no, just because of what Bryce's role is coming off the bench. But man, I don't think he's going to drop that far off from 17 points a game.
Yeah.
Like, I think if he was on a good team, Bryce could be like a 6th man of the year candidate type of player. He can really score.
Taylor Hendricks, 40% from 3. He's there on the dot right now.
He shot 37% his first year. He can really shoot. He can sling it. He doesn't take a lot.
Yes.
But sure, I think he takes good shots. He takes good threes. So 40 is probably a little bit high, but like
maybe 38, 39.
He's not going to drop to 35, 33, I don't think.
Okay, last 2 quick ones. Walt Clayton, 10 points a game.
It's going to be higher.
Higher? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He's going to get better.
And then
He's going to get a lot better this season.
Yeah. Filipowski, 9.5 points a game.
I bet that goes up too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flip's good. Flip's quietly had a really good first 2 games. Again, defensively, he's toast. He's got to figure out exactly what his role is going to be and how he's going to be useful. But his passing is a real plus.
Yes.
And if he starts shooting threes again, well, he becomes a real weapon. So he's good. Jazz have a lot of good young pieces.
Yes.
And if Ace, clicks in, I think you're going to start to see kind of the fog clear, and you'll start to understand like what this is supposed to look like.
All right, over to the mailbag.
Let's get to the mailbag questions. I don't think I got any on Blue Sky. Let me see. I got a bunch of people who liked the post, but nobody responded. So let's get to some DMs real quick. And John Ebenezer, I missed a couple of his. These were actually from earlier this month. So some of them are like, I'll answer a couple of them. He says, do the players and coaches, front office get to meet before media day to discuss talking points, things they don't want to talk about? Seems that exit interviews often have specific themes, verbiage each player will hit while media day they seem more unsure. They hang out so much before that because everyone's there for open gym and playing and talking. So I think generally like themes emerge that like they know they're supposed to be working on. So I think that happens. Some guys probably do get coached up a little bit of hey, you're going to get asked about Omar Williams if you're Ace Bailey. Like you fired your agent a week before the season started, your manager and your agent a week before the season started. How are you going to handle that? Be prepared for it. And he was, and he handled it great. So yes, I guess in a sense, but I don't think it's quite like, this like smoky room where they're like, this is the lie that we're going to tell. I think some people think that stuff does happen. I don't think that's what John's saying, but I think some people think that's what's happening and it's not.
Yeah.
He says, what's the harshest smack talk you've ever heard from a player in person on the Jazz? Does it happen more in game or in practice? I actually think I've probably heard Will Hardy more. Will Hardy's like, it's chippy. You know what I mean? And I won't. I heard Will one time very frustrated with an incident that had happened in a game because of an opposing team. And he was not happy at all. We sit at the top of the lower bowl, which is great. Those are great seats. You can't hear the players talking.
Yes.
And then I don't travel because I've got the radio show every day. So I'm not on the court. There's a couple places, I think Dallas, you sit like really close where you can hear some of it. I haven't heard it. But like, who's the biggest trash talker on the Jazz right now is Isaiah Collier. He hasn't played yet, and he already got into a fight with Kevin Durant, right, during the preseason. He's always talking. Isaiah is the Jazz's biggest trash talker right now, I would imagine. I bet that's what the players would say. And then quickly, one more thing John says. Does every team player at this time of year have the mild delusion that they could be contenders or playoff viable this year? We know as fans and reporters they have no shot, but the players have an irrational confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they get excited and say, hey, if things work out. And again, what you have to realize is players only care about themselves. You really have to. And it's not a bad thing. It's their job. They're independent contractors. Keyonte doesn't benefit from Lowry signing a contract. In fact, it's probably worse for Keyonte. It means there's less money on a team. So all these guys have to look out for themselves. So some of like the big picture stuff, like if you're on a good team and you've won, you start to think like the next step. Like the Minnesota Timberwolves are thinking, what's the next step? How do we get to a title? A lot of teams are not thinking that. A lot of teams are just like, I got to have a good year because I want to stick in the NBA or I want to get my next contract or whatever. I want to get to the next team. That's kind of how that works. So there's a little bit of a delusion, but I don't think it's the way people think. It's just kind of less big picture.
Yeah.
They are more worried about like, what about me immediately? And then again, it's not a bad thing. The league's always been that way. If you've fallen in love with the league, this isn't the league changing. This is always how it's been. Guys are caring about themselves, and on those magical seasons, they come together and they play for something bigger. But that's the truth of it.
That it for DMs?
I think that's it for DMs.
Okay.
But also some vets know, like Kevin Love is not walking into Utah being like, well, if everything goes right. Like he's been on great teams.
Yes.
He knows what good teams look like. He knows what bad teams look like.
Yeah.
He knows he's on a bad team right now.
Let me start with Todd Crow. He sent me a message earlier.
Okay.
How much of Flip starting has been to help Keyonte have someone that can help facilitate? Will he be doing that more? It seemed like the centers did most, and he just sat in the corner most of the time.
Will Hardy had a good answer for this early in the season, is that Flip can dribble.
Yeah.
And the Jazz wanted another dribbler on the court. Walker's clearly not a dribbler.
Yep.
Lowry's not a great dribbler. He can get it like rebound and go, but he's not a dribbler. And Ace Bailey right now is probably not really a dribbler. And Ace Bailey, by the way, is, I fully assume, and we'll get to move back into the starting lineup as soon as he's not on a minutes restriction, which he definitely was the first game. Will said he was. I don't know if he was in Sacramento, but he wasn't playing well. But he's not a dribbler either at this point. He's not like a distributor, creator, I can run the offense. Flip is. Flip is very good at it. Flip's probably like a truthfully top 5 ball handler for big men in the NBA. It's something he really works at, and if he's not there, he will get there.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of great like ball handling big men. Like obviously Jokic is great at it. Like he's really confident getting the ball up the court and beating a pressure if he has to. But
Wemby's kind of becoming
Wemby's
that.
Yeah. His first 3 games have been
ridiculous,
terrifying. And Kyle is not in that group, but Kyle is one of the better ball handlers on the Jazz, and so that's his value. That is one of the reasons he's starting.
And I think it's adding a dribbler, and also like Todd is assuming here, adding a bit of a passer, because Lowry and Walker are both probably average passers at best. And then Svi is like, I don't know if he knows how to pass the ball.
He's not interested in it.
Yeah.
He doesn't care to pass.
So I think that is a little bit of both. Like having I don't know if Kyle is like a hub offensively, but he's that mold, and he has he gets pluses in some of those areas. And I think that it's just good to have versatility in all of your lineups.
He's got to stop fouling.
Yes.
He's averaging 5 fouls a game, which is one fewer than you get to give. But man, he's a really good offensive player.
Yeah.
Kyle is a really, really good player. He's a really good basketball player. And I'm going to pat us on the back because we were calling Kyle Filipowski starting for all summer.
Yeah.
And he certainly has.
Yes.
In fact, I think we nailed the starting lineup minus Svi Mykhailiuk, which can lead us into some of these next questions.
Yes. Combining 2 questions here. First up from Caleb Manser, who asked, how long do we have to put up with Svi in the starting lineup? And then Rhino saying, so far, Cody Williams has played 2 minutes this season. It's obvious that Svi is soaking up his potential minutes, and it appears Ace will need to outplay Svi to earn his starting position. Svi has been featured more than most projected. How much of this is Hardy going for the win?
So there's a couple things going on here. First of all, Ace being not healthy enough is the reason he didn't start, and being on a minutes restriction. I think it's that simple. I think if Ace had played the entire preseason and didn't get sick, he would have started. I don't know if Svi would have been in the rotation at all. Maybe he would have.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would. The reason I think Svi is starting is to maintain the rotation of the second unit, specifically not moving Bryce into that role, which everyone was like, why is Bryce not playing? I think they want Bryce to be the sixth man. I just think it's that simple. I think Bryce is in a good spot. It's working for him. It's what they want to see. It's what they want to go forward. So you play a guy who's even further down the depth chart and put him into the starting lineup, because Svi's not going to screw it up. Like, he just knows how to play basketball, at least at the NBA level, a little bit more than, some random player just throwing him out there. And provide some shooting. He actually does kind of some of the same things that Ace Bailey will do, right? Like, it's a lot of catch and shoot or catch and move the ball. Now, as we said, Svi doesn't move the ball, but it's kind of the same concept of what he should be doing. And then Bryce can keep in his role. I think that's why we have seen Svi in this spot. I don't think it was like Svi won this job in the preseason. Maybe. I don't think so at all. And he didn't play particularly awesome in the preseason. So I think that's as simple as it is. Yes, he took Cody's job, and Cody's not ready to play right now. And still, when he's been on the court, doesn't look like he's ready to play. So more time on that. He'll probably go to the G League when he gets that opportunity, though notably, I don't think he was, the two-way players are not suiting up for the Jazz tonight against the Suns, but Cody still is. So I think that's the Svi thing. I think as soon as Ace is back and healthy, he will move back into the starting lineup. There's also this weird thing. We saw this happen in Will Hardy's first year, which was, remember they got off to that hot start. What were they, 10-3? I think in the first 13 games, whatever it was. And I remember specifically talking to Will, and he was like, I can't change the starting lineup. We're 10-3. Like, what message does that send to the team if we're winning and playing super high level basketball? And then out of nowhere, I'm like, no, Jared Vanderbilt, you shouldn't be starting.
Yeah.
Like, you're playing well. That's working. You can't break something that's working. The first game, when you blow out the Clippers, you can't then just pull Svi off the court and be like, well, that was really good. Actually, I don't want to see that. It's like, no, that's what you're telling your players. You want to see the team play well. So you're going to maintain what's playing well. If it doesn't work against the Kings, and it didn't, and then maybe it doesn't work against the Suns, or if Ace is back, then you switch it up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I am at. That's my theory on what's happened. Will has not told me that. No one's told me that. But that's just kind of, I feel safe in speculating about that.
So I want to talk about Bryce coming off the bench. I don't know if we have a question about it, so I'll ask you here. Do you think maybe, not only just wanting to keep him in a cemented role with the team, but do you think maybe it has anything to do with Bryce could be the sixth man of the year this year? I'm looking at this and this isn't something I thought of, but it looks like most of the time sixth man of the year are on good teams.
That's it. Yeah, you have to be on a good team.
Yeah.
Jordan Clarkson won because he was on a good team.
Yes.
That's the problem for Bryce. No, Bryce can't win it.
Okay.
I also wonder if there's a little bit of the carrot on the stick for Bryce of we can't just give it to you. We need you to still earn the next step in your career. And right now you're coming off the bench and you're not closing games.
Yeah.
Now he's also still bad defensively.
True.
He's getting a little bit better, his positioning's better, but Keyonte has made a noticeable jump defensively. We have not seen that noticeable jump in 2 games from Bryce Sensabaugh.
True.
So that's the other aspect of it. Also, I just think, coming off the bench, Bryce there's a ton there. There's a ton of opportunities for Bryce. And especially when Ace moves into the starting lineup, there's going to be even more shots for Bryce.
Yes.
And I think they're comfortable with Bryce carrying that huge load. He's unique in his ability to do a lot. As we've said, with Bryce, the weird thing, which is not the case for most players, it's almost how much more can you give him? Can you keep giving him more and more and more? And he keeps answering it and being like, yes, I can. You have to find that balance, that ratio of when is too much not good anymore.
Yep.
And I don't know if we've seen it with Bryce offensively, in all honesty. I don't think they've touched his peak yet of what he can do. But you also can't do that in a starting lineup that has Lowry Markkanen and Walker Kessler and Kyle Filipowski, who are good offensive players. Or at least, I won't say Walker's a good offensive player, but he's shooting 100% from the floor.
Yes.
He's going to lead the league in field goal percentage if he doesn't jack a bunch of threes this year. Okay, you don't want Bryce then just eating up a ton of possessions every time down the floor because he is a ball stopper. Not in a bad way, though, in a way that the second unit needs.
Yeah.
So, again, not comparing them. Manu Ginobili didn't start every game for the Spurs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's beneficial to balance and stagger your roster.
Next up, Jimbo Slice. What is going to happen if the Jazz are mediocre? How will the front office make sure that we still get a top 8 pick?
The same ways they have in the last 2 years. And you could still be more aggressive. And if Lowry is playing like this, he's going to be a absolutely enormous name at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I know the Jazz have said they're not trading Lowry. I fully believe they have no intention of trading Lowry right now.
Yes.
But right now doesn't mean anything 3 months from now or 6 months from now or when somebody has the Godfather offer.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, And again, I don't think the Jazz are trying to trade Lowry Markkanen. I want to make that clear. What happens when a team calls you in February and offers 2 really good young players and 2 draft picks. If Lowry's playing at this level, that's not out of the realm of possibilities. And then you guarantee yourself a top 8 pick on top of it. Like, not only do you get the stuff for Lowry, you get your pick, which, did you see what Cam Boozer did last night for Duke? Where were they playing? I can't remember who they're playing, whatever. They're nothing, scrimmage game against another team. 24 points and 23 rebounds. Like, he's the best player in college basketball today, and he might not be the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Like, that's how good Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonsa are also. Like, this is another year that's worth swinging for it. And I know that's hard for fans, but the Jazz know. The Jazz know. The only way I think they're not going to be mediocre is if like Ace and Walt are crazy good all of a sudden, and then the Jazz just say like, we kind of got our 2 young guys. We got our 2 guys we're going to build around, and then we've got enough other pieces around them. And I still think the Jazz are going to find a way to make sure they get that top 8 pick.
Let me see if I can find this. I'm forgetting, but when I was watching the Jazz versus the Kings game, and they stormed back, and maybe they took a lead in the second quarter, and then they ended up going down by 3 at the half. But yeah, it was Steven Stevens who asked, am I wrong for hoping the Jazz lose this game? And I basically responded saying, you're not wrong.
It is. You've been red pilled.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a political way. The red pill or the blue pill, whatever Neo is picking between. Like, you've been conditioned to be like, should we win this game as a fan? Like, that's a real question. I think it's an awkward spot to be in, but it's a very legitimate thing.
Yeah, and I said, I basically said to him, like, good on you for having a wide scope on things, right? But also, you're not wrong, but when you're in the player's position, like, these young players are also in a position where it's like, okay, we still need to, like, play well. Like you said, like, if you're playing well, like, you need to keep things the same. Like, you need to show your team that you're wanting to do well.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a... goes both ways sort of thing. Like, maybe the best thing for the Jazz would have been to lose, which they did end up. But yeah, it's a tough situation.
And I'm going to tell you what, in all honesty, because we've seen this the last few years. In fact, I could probably pull up their schedule last year and we'd see similar things. Maybe I'm wrong, but this like perfect scenario of like play in close games and still lose, I kind of don't buy that. I really kind of don't buy that. It's just like, once you have players that are good enough to win, you're going to win. And it just doesn't really matter that, like, oh, you were in 12 games at the beginning of the season. Like, that didn't matter later in the year. Last year, the Jazz were getting trounced in every game, and it didn't really mean a whole lot. So, yeah, when the Jazz last year, and they were atrocious to start the season, but it's like, I remember talking, like, they lose to the Grizzlies 126 to 124 to start the season. You're like, that's a close loss. That's good. You lose to Dallas 110-102. It's like, these are great learning opportunities for these players. It's like, well, it didn't make Keyonte not a 5 of 15 3-point or field goal shooter. Yeah. Like, if that's who he's going to be, then you just need different players.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Yeah, man, go watch the Cam Boozer highlights. They were against Tennessee. Tennessee's like a top 20 team in the country as well. 24, 23, and 6. And it's like Charles Barkley grabbing the ball out of the air on block shots. It's just like, whoa, it's worth it. Yeah. I hate to, tell Jazz fans that might be something you're going through again, but it's only going to get more intense when you watch AJ DeBonsa make his debut. It's next week, right? It's the 3rd. I think everyone opens their season. Like, this draft class is going to be silly.
Yes.
And it's worth being a part of. Worth finding a way to be a part of it. Especially because we know the Jazz have no chance of making the playoffs. Like, that's the other aspect of it. It's like the Jazz aren't going to compete for a play-in spot.
Yes.
We know that's not going to be the case. So if you're going to miss the playoffs, there's no reason to not try and get Cam Boozer or DeBonsa or I should say DeBonsa. I should say his name right. And Camp or Darren Peterson, excuse me. So that's just, I hate to be there already after 2 games. But the question is the right question to be asking.
Speaking of that, I'm seeing another one from Todd Crow here. Would you rather the Jazz make the playoffs, win 30 games, and have the 6th best lottery odds with a 28% chance at top 3, or win 20 games, 3rd best lottery odds, 40% chance at top 3?
Jazz would take 20 wins.
Yes.
I will just tell you that's what the Jazz would. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the Jazz would rather take 20 wins and the best chance to get a top 3.
I'm with you. But, like, if this was the Riza draft, you might take option 1 or 2.
In retrospect, the Jazz should have paid off that pick. In retrospect, the Jazz should have won enough games, given up that pick, and you don't have Cody Williams. Like, Cody already doesn't play.
Yes.
Like, you would have had this sword hanging over your head, the axe over your head, it would have been gone already. Yep. That was probably, in retrospect, a mistake. Now, look, the Bulls, who drafted, 2 spots after the Jazz in the Cody Williams draft, look like they got a player in Modest Buzelis.
True.
Like, he's playing really well. That's the gamble. Yeah. And the one thing where I think the Jazz have been smart is that you're not going to hit. You're not a sniper. It's about getting as many at-bats as you want.
Yep.
So you need to have tries, because you may like a guy in the draft and for whatever reason it fails. But you need, of these 8 picks, now you've added 2 more, 10 guys or whatever it is that you've had now, all this stuff, and these new picks you got coming up. Like, the more you have, the more likely you're going to find somebody. And it might take 2 or 3 years for Bryce to be like, oh, that was the guy from that draft, actually. Yeah. He was the last player of the first round, but he was. Flip was the guy from that draft. Well, good thing you got that pick. That's why you traded Simone Fontecchio to get that opportunity. And you got to keep going back to the well until you realize, okay, you've got enough.
Okay, next up from Bebop. Does Ace Bailey seem taller than the 6'7" he measured at the Combine? I just watched the Ace and Thurl Bailey interview on the Jazz YouTube.
The Bailey and Bailey?
Yeah. And Thurl is 6'11", maybe not as tall as he was in his playing days, but...
Thurl's still huge.
Yeah. Ace didn't look... 4 inches shorter than him?
I can't figure it out.
Yes.
I trust the combine measurements. Now, look, guys can flub combine stuff. And what do we know about what Ace Bailey did before the draft? He tried to push himself down the draft in one of the weirdest things anyone's ever done.
Maybe he bent his knees when they were
measuring
him.
In all honesty, so you can cheat. You can cheat some of the draft measurement stuff. And the one guys can cheat the most, Pat Connaughton's, I think, the most famous for doing this, is you can cheat your vertical. And you say, how do you do that? Well, the way they measure your vertical is your standing reach versus your max touch reach on when you jump and you touch the little sticks, whatever they call that, the vert rack.
Yeah.
If you don't reach your arm up absolutely as high as you can, like let's say you keep your shoulder down, it's 2 inches lower.
Yeah.
And then you add 2 inches to your vertical and all of a sudden you pop because you know you have a 38-inch vertical, which is big, but we see 40 and we're like, holy cow, 40-inch vertical.
Yep.
Guys can do that. So yeah, I don't know, man. Did Ace not stand up straight? Was he slouchy in his, I don't know. I believe everything that the Combine said, but he was also a guy who wanted to go 7th or 8th as opposed to going 2nd or 3rd. He looks bigger than that to me.
Yes.
He does just look bigger than that to me. And I think he will play bigger than that. So, yeah, it's been one of the weird things throughout the entire draft process. And watching him now and meeting him and all this stuff.
Riggy asks, who will be the next Jazzman to record a triple-double? It might be Walker Kessler.
He's a good suggestion because, he had the 8 assist game. He certainly seems to be passing the ball well. And we got another question that came in late about how the big guys are being used offensively. So we'll talk about that. I think it's going to happen this year.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be Walt Clayton.
Okay.
Walt Clayton is a sick rebounder.
Yeah.
He's a great rebounder. He's a very, very good rebounder for a guard. I think he's a steady 10-point per game guy. And when he just has that game where he's kicking it out to shooters and shooters are hitting threes, he's going to get there.
Yeah.
He's going to really flirt with it quickly, I bet. And I think he has a more realistic shot to get there.
Yeah.
I also think he's going to be moved into the starting lineup again. As I've said, at some point he's going to get moved into the starting lineup. I think he's too good not to. So I think Walt is going to get a triple-double this season. That would be my other hot take other than Bryce Sensabaugh's getting paid this summer.
Next up from Jackson Gordon, kind of an odd question, but who decides what ball the Jazz play with at home? On the Netflix series, I saw Shea and Tyrese pick the ball for their team, plays in their home arena. Do the Jazz have a player who consistently picks the game ball for them? Love the pod.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
My theory would be it's Lowry.
Yes.
Would be my guess, right? He's the best player. He is the captain of the team, so he goes out there and talks. And yeah, first of all, have you touched an NBA ball?
I have not.
You've played though with the balls that you went to Jazz practice. You went to the media training camp.
Yes, true.
The NBA ball stinks.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. I promise you, if you've played church basketball, everyone's competes to bring the best ball. The good leather ball you play with at church is 1,000 times better than the NBA balls. The NBA ball is really hard. It's very plasticky. It's slick. It feels like crap. If you were to go, I don't know, where do you buy them? Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever people buy basketballs now. And you were to test 5 balls and pick them up and you do the thing where you try and dribble it while it's still in the box. You would never pick the NBA ball.
Oh.
You would never pick the authentic ball that they use. I promise you. You would pick the leather softball that grips to your hand. You can palm it. These guys are all so big that they can palm this ball very easily too.
I remember that now from Media Day, those balls.
It stinks.
It feels like an outdoor ball.
It does. It's crazy to me. They're not soft at all. They're not leathery feeling. They feel like plastic. I hate it. Yeah. They feel heavy to me as opposed to a lot of balls. It's so weird. It's such a weird thing that it doesn't feel like they're playing with the best equipment. And it's Wilson now, right? Who's the...
Yes,
I don't think it's Spalding anymore. I think it's Wilson. That would be the ball that they put forward, but whatever reason, this has been what's agreed upon. But yeah, you go out and there is a change in the ball from ball to ball. It's not everyone's the same, and it's pretty minor, but the players can tell a difference. It's if whatever you do at your work, you can tell if your computer's running fast or slow that day. It's very weird to me, but I would imagine it's Lowry. I'll ask today. That's a really good question.
Okay. Next from Planet of Jazz. I like how Hardy wants to reach Kessler, Flip, and Nurkic as second generators in offense. What do you think of Walker in this role? I wanted him versus the Clippers.
You wanted to see probably more of it,
Yeah.
or on the Clipper, or whatever it was. I think there's some lost in translation stuff here, but it's a good question. I do like how Flip does it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, love how Nurk does it. Nurk is so good at setting screens and has great touch, and like it really sets up as a peg, all right, a hub offensively. Kessler is not that good of a screen setter yet, which is where he could get a lot better, because once you set that really good screen, as you see it with Nurk, someone tries to come off of him, you've got this wide open lane to just drop it off, and you're so tall, and Nurk is so tall.
Yeah.
Nurk is like a mountain of a person. It's crazy. He can just literally drop the ball down to them. Like it's a really nice pass. It's a nice option. So Walker's got to continue to get better as a screen setter, and I think that will be most helpful for him. But man, he's just recognizing, like, I'm drawing a lot of attention, so I can pass the ball off a little bit. And again, I hate to like not talk about passing being the key to his passing, but like the other thing is like he's making this little lefty hook shot now that you're seeing. He's making it with his left hand specifically. Not that it's the hand that matters, but just the fact that he has a kind of a reliable post move. Well, when that happens, you have to send somebody at him.
Yes.
And when you send somebody at him, or somebody comes over to help or whatever it is, now he can kick it to Lowry if Lowry's kind of sneaked into the dunker spot, or somebody is cutting. That's, I think, actually what you're seeing more of, is more guys are cutting off the ball.
Yes.
And when perimeter players, wings, guards cut, there are assist opportunities for big guys. Mm-hmm. And we saw it a lot early in Will Hardy's offense his first year, and then kind of as Olynyk became less important, we saw less of it. Now with Nurkic being back and Flip being there, it's useful. And if Walker and Lowry could pick it up, it'd be really beneficial. I also think Taylor's a pretty good passer. I think Taylor Hendricks is like not a great passer. He's not Kyle Filipowski, but I think he has like a willingness to pass that could be beneficial there as well.
Next up from J. Brandon Olson, who is the Jazz's lead assistant coach? Like if Hardy gets tossed, who takes over?
I believe it's Scott Morrison.
Okay.
I think it's Scott. He was the first coach in the summer league here. Mm-hmm. Now, like Sean Sheldon and some of these other guys have picked it up at other points, but I believe it's Scott. And Scott has been a head coach in the G League, so I think it would be him.
Yeah.
Sean Sheldon, though, is the guy who you always see up and walking around. Like, there's always another guy telling Will. Yeah. I'm curious what he's telling him, but like he's the one probably telling him, like, if you don't use a timeout at the next dead ball, you're going to lose it. Those types of things, kind of the situational stuff. Yeah. I suspect that's what Sean's doing, but that's the guy who you see up and moving around a lot. But I think Scott would be the guy.
Okay.
And Wojo could do it too. Wojo's been a college basketball head coach and a G League head coach. So, but I believe it's Scott. Yeah. Scott was the Stars head coach 2 years ago before Wojciechowski.
Is it always like a default, like, okay, the number 2 gets moved as the interim in these situations, or would the Jazz like pick, like, I think our third assistant would probably be best to be interim?
I think in certain situations, like if Will Hardy were to, for whatever reason, have to leave the team, whatever it was. Actually, the nice thing is like Scott could just do it because he has that experience. But no, I'm sure there are some situations where it's like, hey, this is like, we think this guy's got it, but he's 29 years old. Mm-hmm. And he just doesn't know like how to do everything, and the players aren't going to respond to him the way our third coach, who's been in the league for 25 years and is a grizzled veteran and has been a former NBA head coach, like Van Gundy. I don't know if Van Gundy's actually Ty Lue's top assistant right now with the Clippers. He probably is, but maybe he's just like their defensive coach. Mm-hmm. But if something were to happen to Ty Lue, even if the number 2 guy was there, maybe Jeff Van Gundy would be the long-term assistant or interim, versus like if Ty Lue gets tossed, they have a guy who just finishes the game. Gotcha. That could change.
Yeah. Denny B. Karchner asks, please explain other rookies having huge game and Ace is sucking.
Ace is sick.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah. I think
it's that simple. And look, maybe Ace struggles, but he was awesome in those first 2 preseason games, and the things he was awesome at work.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like, they were mid-range jump shots, but like he can make mid-range jump shots. So he's got to get to that. He was a little rattled when he got onto the floor. Like you watch his first play of the game against the Clippers, like he literally is in the wrong spot, and then he doesn't play defense on the next possession. Will Hardy calls a timeout and yells at him. Yeah. It was pretty tough. He didn't know where to go. He got a little bit rattled, and again, he'd been sick, so he probably hadn't been a part of the game plan, and it was big for him. It will all slow down, and then Ace will come out. and you will see all of the good stuff. Because, again, the funny thing is, like, even the bad games at Rutgers, he was still productive.
Yeah.
It was like, how do you clean up some of the bad things? And then you didn't see any of that in Summer League, and it was only 2 games, and you didn't see any of it in those first 2 preseason games either.
The thing is, preseason and regular season are not so different that you go from 26 and 20 points to 1 for 10 shooting.
Correct.
So it's like there is something going on, and it's the sickness.
He's a little sick. I'm sure he's nervous.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's part of that too. And then he's probably coming off the bench for the first time of his life.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, when was the last time that kid came off the bench? Never in high school, didn't ever in college. So maybe never.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. That's an adjustment. And also why I don't think that's going to be the long-term answer there. I don't think he's going to be a second unit player. So
Alex Atwood, we always talk about big game hunting. Say we live in a world where Ace is legit, hopefully he is, and we're ready to go next season. What would you be looking at as someone we could trade some of our assets for to make us a win now team?
Giannis, he's a good player. Like Devin Booker always stays very interesting. The problem is Devin Booker's about to be making $70 million a year. It's like at some point he's probably not valuable enough. Yeah, you got to kind of look at, like, you're a scavenger in this spot, right? Like, you're looking for the healthiest carcass. You're looking for the freshest carcass. It's like, legitimately, like, John Morant. Does he get interesting for anybody? Like, I told you I'm not a huge John Morant guy. He brings a lot of noise with him, and not just off the court, but also off the court. Obviously, he's got his issues. But does a team like that decide, like, hey, man, we got to start all the way over? And there's actually still a lot left in Ja, which is, historically, Danny Ainge has not been afraid of those types of guys. Jaylen Brown, obviously, would be a big one.
I was about to say Jaylen Brown, and also on his same team, not as, like, big of a shot as some of the guys you just named, but even like Derek White, like, just coming in, being, like, bringing defense from on the perimeter from the guard spot, like.
Yeah, those guys would be ideal. Keep an eye on, like, I don't know. Just you look for teams that kind of run into a disaster situation. Yeah. I think there are going to be pieces to come off of Houston probably at some point. They're just going to get really expensive pretty quickly, and that's always a ripe spot to go and get players as well. So just the league's in a good spot. Again, there's too many players. There's too many good players right now. The league needs to expand. There's too many good players who can't get on the floor.
Yep.
So I think there are probably players to be had, and because we're only going to get more into this financial crunch, even though I know the salary cap's going up, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tough for teams to keep rosters together. And keep an eye on Minnesota. You don't know if Naz Reid or Jaden Daniels is going to become McDaniels is going to become available. You never know.
Connor Morris, seems Key has put a lot more effort into the game defensively already this season, but he took some rough shots into the clutch versus the Kings. Does it seem like he's a shot first guy under pressure?
I think that's still the process. So here's where I'm like I said, I'm fine taking the kid gloves off with Keyonte, which probably I handled him with in the last 2 years, just because he's young. He's a young player. You went to your 3rd year, and now it's time to start not just growing up, which he's done. The hard part, and I'm not just trying to move the goalposts on him, is like, but the most important thing still is the shooting.
Yes.
And if you don't shoot well, you're not going to make it. We talk about rookies, and what you're going to look for with, like, Ace Bailey early on, and you can throw out the preseason stuff, is like, does he have a good stint on the floor, right? Just like 3 good plays in a row, good defense, makes a shot, gets back and plays good defense again. Fine, great. And then it's like your entire time you're on the court, are you noticeable in a good way? And then it's like, okay, you dominated a quarter, or didn't dominate, but you were good for a quarter. And then you're good for a half, and then you're good for a game. Like, where is Keyonte in that when we're talking big picture?
Yeah.
Not game to game. We're no longer talking about Keyonte game to game. But, like, where is he in this process of, like, how much can you expect? Is he good every other game? Is that enough right now? Because that probably is still a step forward. He wasn't good every other game last year. Is he good every other game? Is he good 2 out of 3 games? Does he have to be good 4 out of 5 games? Where are we? I don't know yet. And I think he will tell us.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Keyonte is he's very loud on the court. You can see the good and you can see the bad, and they're really obvious.
Yeah.
So, tonight or this week, these 4 games, is he going to be good in half of them? Is he going to be good in 1 of them? Is he going to be good in 3 of the 4? I think that's what I'm going to start kind of looking at for how I measure Keyonte more.
Yeah. And it's also with Keyonte, it's unfortunate. Like, I feel like this isn't a thing for every player. Like, I feel like Lowry, it's like a good game or a bad game. And even his bad game's like 18 points. For Keyonte, I feel like I see him like going through like not even just games, but like quarters of back and forth.
For sure.
Bad, you know what I mean? And I think that is kind of a thing that needs to be worked on as well. Like,
he'll have a really good first half and then be kind of dreadful in the second half. There's this funny thing. So internally, because I tweet games, you tweet games as well. I will like inevitably, I almost am hesitant to ever tweet about Keyonte George because it's not indicative of what's going to happen for the next quarter or half. Like you could be like, wow, Keontae's on a heater. He will miss his next 7 shots. Or like, man, Keyonte has made 2 horrible decisions in a row on these shots that he takes against Sacramento. And then I think he has like the great and one late in the game. If I remember correctly, it's like, yeah, that was perfect. It's like, he's so up and down. His play is so polarizing. Second to second, it's one of the weirder players I've ever seen. There are not a lot of guys like that. Like, you know, Jordan Clarkson, you can really argue about like, does his play help you? But he played the same way every single game. Keyonte, I don't know what to expect play to play. Yeah. And again, that gets really hard. And it's where I think Walt, like, you know what I saw from Walt? Just like the offense runs well every single time he's on the floor. Like every play feels the same pace. And I think Walt needs to play faster. His big issue right now is he's playing really slow. He's still like, I have 30 seconds and I can get across 30-second shot clock and I can get across the half court line in 10 seconds. Like, no, that's college. You can't do that. You got to play quicker than that. He's still playing a little casual. He will pick it up. He will play with better speed and better pace, and he will do all those things. But man, it just looks good, right? Like he doesn't get sped up. He dribbles in the paint. If he's got a layup, he takes a layup. If he's not there, he'll probe dribble. He'll Nash dribble, whatever you want to call it. Then he'll back out, make another thing happen. It's just like, wow. That's like every single time he's on the court, I know exactly what to expect. I don't know if every shot's going to go in. At some point, I think it's going to start to feel like that because I think he's a great shooter. Yeah. But Keontae's inability to let you know what he's going to do game to game is hard. And, you know, even players who are better than Keyonte who do that, like Jalen Green, fell out of favor in Houston. And like he was beloved and a number 2 overall pick and has a ton invested in him. And they were like, yeah, we're going to trade him. Yeah. And again, they traded him for Kevin Durant. Obviously, that's a smart trade to make. But they were done with the Jalen Green experience. It's Jonathan Kuminga a little bit. Like Jonathan Kuminga can score 30 in a playoff game. He can also be totally out of the offense and doing his own thing, and you just don't know exactly what to expect. And those guys, just the thing you notice over and over if you watch all sports, but basketball specifically, is coaches play the players they trust. Yeah. And if Keyonte can't be trusted every single play, especially in the fourth quarter, where he may just decide, hey, I want to start shooting, it gets hard to play him over guys who you can trust.
All right, last question here from Spence Johnson. He asked, what has been the most exciting thing from the Jazz you've seen in the first 2 games? For me, there's 2. First of all, I do want to say that I have loved what I've seen from Keyonte, like 90%. Okay. Like there is all of the stuff for me before when he was I'm not saying he's going to be an awesome defender because he's had 2 good games, but in previous years, asking a player to be a better defender, especially an offensive-minded player, is hard because it's like, okay, if you exert your energy on defense, then you won't be as effective on offense. And the players know that, right? They're like, okay, I don't want to tire myself out on defense so I can shoot more on offense. That's what I worried about for Keyonte, but like he's checked that box so far. So now if he can check the box of not shooting to shoot, then we're talking about, okay, this is the Jazz's starting point guard. Yeah. So I've liked what I've seen from Keyonte. And second thing, which is my number 1, is just Lauri Markkanen. 26.5 points a game. He's back up to 56% from the floor, 40% from 3. Seeing him last year, 19 points and 34% from 3, I was like, this isn't Lauri.
That's not Lauri at all.
Yeah. So seeing this now, that's probably my number 1.
I tweeted it in the first game, which was, wow, if the Jazz play defense, they're a much better basketball team. It's like, yeah, obviously it's a joke, but like kind of. Yeah. They just didn't play defense at all last year or really for the last 2 years. So actually playing defense is a good sign. Now, it's only 2 games. Do I believe it's going to happen? I don't know. You're asking. The other thing about these young guys is just like you're putting a lot of weight on their shoulders. Again, you can hate John Collins. You can hate Colin Sexton. You can hate Jordan Clarkson. I don't think Jazz fans did. That's not generally the relationship fans have with their players. But they know how to play 82 games. They know how to eat up possessions, and those aren't bad things. Those guys carrying a huge workload is not a bad thing. And at some point, Ace's legs are going to abandon him probably this season. And Walt's legs are probably going to abandon him at some point this season. And, you know, is Bryce actually ready to do 82 games? I bet you Taylor's not. Yeah. Flip might not be still. Walker's probably there. Lowry's definitely there. Keontae's probably there. He's in really good shape. So that's a good sign. But you will see some of that start to disappear. Yeah. And then the defense will follow it. Because the first thing you stop doing when you're tired is play defense. Yes. You don't stop shooting. They do stop going in, but you don't stop shooting.
Along that same line, I feel like this is something that's worth being said. I feel like that first game against the Clippers will be the best Jazz performance we'll see this whole season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see. I mean, that's as good as a team can play, really. But yes, I agree with you. I think that's You're going to be like, remember that game? That was a long time ago. I still think the Jazz are trending towards a 25-win season. Like, I'm not changing that at all. I think I said 22. I think I'll still stick right around that number. Maybe a couple closer games. I don't care. It's until you have the right players, it just doesn't really matter that much.
I wish I could remember who this tweet made me laugh. It was like, bold of the Jazz to win one of their 20 games on night one.
Yeah. And you know what I'd say? Another positive is Bryce.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Bryce has been
awesome.
He's just a really good basketball player.
Yes.
I think he's going to be a really good player. And I think, honestly, I won't be surprised if you kind of come out of this season and start like, again, we're talking about the fog, the mist starting to clear, and you start to see it. If it's like Ace and Walt and Bryce, it's like, okay, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
And then, what is Flip doing, or what is Keyonte doing, or what is, whoever other young player, Walker and Lowry, we'll see.
Yeah. All in all, I think a lot more good things coming out of the first week than I expected.
They're more fun to watch than they were at any point last year. This was not a fun team to watch at all last season, and they're pretty fun to watch right now.
Yeah. So. Okay, I think that'll do it.
All right. Follow us on Twitter, like I said, and Blue Sky at Ben's Hoops, C Holt Sports. Read us at KSLSports.com, and we'll be back with you next week.